Hello everyone, this is Javamonk, and welcome to episode 6 of the mod making series. So, this episode, I want to make something extremely complicated. And I mean, really, really complicated. This is going to be one item that does something that I just thought, hey, you know what? It'd be fun to have this happen. So here's what I want. I want to make a staple gun. It's going to be kind of like a bow. It's basically going to be a retextured bow that fires staples instead of arrows. What's going to happen is you can fire this bow at a gravity-affected block, say like, oops, say something like this, and it'll look like there's a staple inside. There's like a staple embedded in the block. This staple's not going to despawn. What that's going to do is essentially allow for, let me just prepare real quick. Essentially what's going to happen is if you place a gravel block and then staple it, like shoot it with a staple gun, it's then going to be able to float there and essentially be attached to any neighboring block. So it's no longer going to be needing a floor block to stay attached. All it needs is a side or ceiling block. That's the idea anyways. Now, you'll be able to remove staples by maybe right-clicking with an arrow or something. And the staples will also remove themselves if the neighboring block gets removed like this, at which point the staple comes off and the block will fall. So the staples will require a kind of neighboring block. And there's a couple of other things that I want to have happen. Mainly, I want of course the iconic sound, the ka-chunk sound that you make when you fire a staple gun. And it is going to be a projectile. It is going to be like an arrow. So I also wanted to possibly do a little bit of damage if you fire it at an animal. And challenge number 1 that I've run into is that turns out this episode we're not just going to be adding a staple gun, currently untextured and currently does nothing. We're not only going to have to add a staple gun, we're actually going to have to create entire fake versions of the blocks that I'm trying to remove the gravity from. So gravel is always affected by gravity. It's an entire type of block according to the code. So it's really not as simple as you fire a staple is embedded in the block, so just turn off the gravity. It is not that simple at all. I'm basically going to have to reinvent the wheel, like reinvent gravel and sand. Oh no, I'm going to have to reinvent anvils too. Oh, what have I got myself into? Okay, I've now made the fake gravel and fake gravity-affected glass. This was kind of these are the simple blocks. Progress on the fake sand is going a little weird because it's showing up twice in the creative inventory. So it's definitely a thing, but there's really no difference between the sand and the red sand. And I'm not sure why that's happening. Also, fake anvils are even weirder. So if I just pull out these 3 things, again, it shows up 3 times in the creative inventory, but there is zero indication that they're actually like, okay. They're all showing up as damage equaling 0, which is weird. But the good part is that no matter what, there's still the facing still works. So you still have anvils facing different ways. You just can't see them. Oh, and the fake dragon egg also. Oh. Okay, it displays in my hand just fine, but it's not a... Huh. It doesn't display as a block properly. Okay. I also removed the ability for the dragon egg to teleport, at least the fake dragon egg, because I figured it'd be kind of cool to have the staple gun when you essentially staple a dragon egg to a block. It makes it so the dragon egg can't teleport either. I thought that'd be cool. Progress update. I just got vaccinated. Like, I got my second dose of the vaccine, and it's kind of kicking my butt. So what I've done is I've kind of chilled out and made textures. Here's what the staple gun looks like, and here's what the staples look like. And now, I think I've just made the most satisfying item in Minecraft. Check this out. Yeah, I've now added items. I've added sounds to the staple gun. So now it's going to sound like a staple gun. Okay. What the heck? So many turkeys. Okay, so I guess they do naturally spawn. That's good. Okay, so far I can't get the staples to look like actual staples. They still look like arrows. I'm wondering, if I tried to pick up one of these quote-unquote staples, I get arrows. So I also fixed the models for the fake dragon egg and the fake anvils, and turns out the reason they were purple and black squares was a really dumb mistake. One of the things that says here's where the texture is, it was referencing a Minecraft folder rather than a universe mod folder. Yeah, dumb. So here's the different anvils, and the items still don't appear properly. But at least that's weird. Why can't I middle click on the dragon egg? Well, anyway, here's the fake dragon egg, and this thing doesn't actually, like, it's not going to teleport anywhere, so that's good. And it should show up here. It doesn't. Okay. Another thing I did was I tried to make it so that the things coming out of the staple gun actually look like staples. So let's test it out. Okay, still looks like arrows. But the question is, so another thing I did was I made it so you actually can't pick it up in survival at all. And they're never going to despawn. Which is good, because when you have something stapled... Oh, that's not good. That's really not good. Okay, it's still giving me arrows. Weird. I'm also going to fix the texture for the staple gun. Rotate it so that it looks like... When I'm doing this, it actually looks like I'm, like, firing the staples, rather than, like... It's not coming out the front. It should be coming out this bottom part right here. Like the part right underneath the handle. I'm not sure I'm making any sense. Yeah, also this looks weird. Alright, we should now be able to fire staples out of the staple gun. I've rotated the staple gun so that it looks like I'm actually firing it out of the staple gun. And it's even rotated in third person, just like that. And bam! Okay, now when I pick these up, ooh, very nice. Okay. I cannot pick these up, and I'm pretty sure these should never despawn. Awesome. I guess all that's left to do now is implement the system where you can like actually kill these things. I'm thinking actually adding a staple remover item specifically for doing this. Here's a question. Oh snap. These staples do despawn. Oh dear. That's not good. And that's when I thought, why are we trying to reinvent the wheel? There's no point doing that. What we should be doing instead is creating a block, the staple. Public static block staple like this. Specifically the staple block. We have the staple gun shoot the staple item, and the staple item, when it lands and hits a block, it creates a block that then holds up the sand. We need the staple block, which is going to be the thing that the player can then remove if they so please, if they so choose. How about with a pickaxe? We're also going to need another block, I guess we'll call it the sand holder. And this thing will actually hold up the sand. Because you see, the staple can embed itself in the side of a sand block, but the sand will still be able to fall. So we need the ability to hold up the sand from the bottom. And we're gonna link these two together. So the sand holder just pops into existence because of the staple block. And we can actually just remove all these fake gravity blocks. In fact, I'm just gonna do that now because that was a dumb idea. Actually, I'm not gonna quite remove them yet. I'm simply going to comment them out of existence, so the code will not be able to actually read this part. It'll just think, oh, you just left a bunch of comments here for some reason. And it's not actually going to implement that code. So the fake gravity blocks no longer exist. We're replacing them with these two blocks, which actually is a really good idea because the staple block and sand holder, see, if I decided to add any more gravity-affected blocks, I would need to make fake versions of those as well, and that could end up being kind of a pain. So we're just not going to deal with that. Instead, we're going to just work with these. We have a sand holder block now. This is basically copy-pasted from the code for air blocks. However, I'm going to check the code for falling blocks and make sure that sand won't be able to fall into this block here. Okay, that's a problem. See, this code for falling blocks means that it's going to fall if the block is a fire, if the material is air, water, or lava. And so the sand holder can't be an air material, it's gonna have to be something like a barrier. I hope this actually works. Hopefully this still actually gets an invisible block that you can actually walk through, because I don't want the sand holder. I want the sand holder to be something that you can just walk through. Okay, these aren't going to be items that you get. These are actually just going to be. These are only placeable with /set block, and that's okay. So let's see. I have a sand holder somewhere here, and if I now fly up and place a sand block, oh dear, just falls right through. Okay then. That's not good. And unfortunately, these sand holders are completely invisible. So I pretty much exclusively have to use this. I'm gonna have to use the /fill command. Air0 replace universe mod state or sand holder. There we go. So I have to place the block using /set block, and I'm gonna have to break the block using /fill. This is going to be fun. Ooh. Okay. So this is definitely a block that exists. Okay. The question is, does it hold up sand? Yes, it does. Okay. And I can definitely walk through it. That's good. And what the? Okay then. That is super weird. What? What is even going on here? I've just made an invisible block. Huh. Okay, I can still place blocks through it, but I can't enter it. Weird. Okay, the sand falls as soon as the block is removed. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted. Hey, real quick, I want to test the water. Holy smokes, that's a lot of turkeys. Okay, one thing I wanted to test is, can this block be placed underwater? Okay. It can be placed underwater, but it is still replaceable. Hang on. Okay, so I can still place blocks inside it. Blocks can still fall into it, but it still holds up sand. I want water to be able to spread into the block. Yeah. I want it to be able to spread into the block. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the staple gun totally works now. Check it out. I can now fire staples at things, and it actually looks like staples. Yeah, it looks a little weird, but I mean, it works. And that's kind of the point. I can now fire staples at mobs, at blocks, as I please. This is amazing. Okay, now time to make the staple. We got to make the staple gun functional now. Okay, here we go. I can now fly through this perfectly fine. No weird collisions. No weird shadows anywhere. Okay, this is good. And let's also test the water. Make sure that the water and lava can actually replace the staple holder, but the sand holder. So if I placed it here, boom. Okay, awesome. Good. So you won't be able to staple things underwater. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay. Now what we need to do is we need to actually do stuff with the staple block. Now we have a sand holder, an invisible block that can just hold up sand. See, I just place a sand holder, and then here /set block of sand, and it'll just float there. I think what I'm going to do with the staple gun, the staple block, I'm going to follow the example of the button, which, funny thing about the button and the levers and stuff like that, they require support blocks, except technically speaking, these are now support blocks. So if you staple a sand, that magic trick is now like totally possible. If you were to staple a block if you were to staple some sand to another block, and then I want the staple block to just automatically place a sand holder underneath the block that it's stapled to, and then you can come by later and place a button or a lever like this and create this magic. Yeah, you can You could do this stuff now. Legit. In survival. This is actually really cool. Progress update. So we now have a stable block which can attach to any side of a block that I so choose. I pretty much just stole the code from the button. So yeah, now it looks like, sort of looks like a staple. Might be a bit big, but I mean, bees are huge, so why not? Now, also massive update, the staple gun now fires staples, and when it hits the ground, it'll actually place a staple block. Like that. Doesn't do a very good job, but it seems to get the idea. Sort of. Ish. Here, let's try the side of a block like that. See? It just sticks to the block. That's... Oh, I see what's happening. It's automatically just placing the staple block on this in this orientation. Okay. So it looks like I need to orient the staple block as it's like hitting the ground. And another important development, the staple block, when you break it, now drops a staple, and then the staple gun uses staples as the projectile that you need in order to fire it. So I can fire a staple gun, it now actually places a staple, and then you can't use the staple gun anymore. Yeah, that's weird. Huh. That's real weird. Also bad news, if you decide to staple a block while it still has a staple on it, it's going to break the block. Huh. That's a little weird. So it only actually pops off when you... Huh. That's not supposed to happen. So as for fixing that issue with the staple blocks being not placed properly from the staple gun, I actually copied the code from mcreator and tried to remake it, and I ended up writing some extra stuff way down here to like get the block, figure out whether or not to staple the block, and then I just decided, why reinvent the wheel when instead you can piggyback off of somebody else's? And so I wrote this, very much copied from this here, where I basically, here I basically have like, here's the number assigned to the different directions in which the staple block needs to be placed, and here's how it translates in terms of directions. Pretty much just copied that and did it again here. So yeah, hopeful, and then also, since the staple block already has functions and methods here that can detect whether or not you can place the staple block there and whether you can place it on that particular side, I figured, why not just piggyback off of that? So let's see if this works. And here's a floating block in which we can test this out. So, powie. Nice. Oh, almost. There we go. Powie. And I also have it where if you can't place the staple block in that place, it just makes it so you can actually walk over and just pick it right up. Okay. Come on. What's the matter? That's kind of weird. And what about this? How come they're falling off the underside? That's real weird. That makes no sense whatsoever. But, okay, I guess. Well, we have 3 of the sides. Now we need the other 3 sides. I have a hunch this is a rounding error. And I think the reason why everything's not working is because here, this part used to say mathhelper.floor double or whatever. So I think we need to go back to that. Because I switched it to math.round thinking, well, it was actually to cause a previous rounding error. So now I think this will work again. Let's find out. Okay, I think I solved the problem. The way I did it was adjusting this part here. So what it was doing, it was picking the lowest, like the, I believe, southeast bottommost corner of the hitbox of the arrow, or staple in this case, and then adding a teeny tiny bit to it. Well, now it's going to select a block that's directly in the middle of the arrow, but the lowest corner of the staple. So now it's time to see, does it work? It's night. Let's fix that. There. And now, staple. Staple. Staple is going to be a staple of this mod. Very nice. Very nice. And now, oh yeah. It works. The staple gun now works. Awesome. Where did I duplicate that? But yeah. Huh. That's interesting. It sometimes duplicates staples. That's a little weird. Huh. What's that? Oh, that touched the underside there. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be interesting, I think. The staple gun certainly adds a new mechanic, doesn't it? And that's really what mods are all about. It's about adding new mechanics and playing around with them. So, there we go. The staple gun now fires staples. So, hey, I wonder. Do these staples get washed out with water? I bet they do. No, they don't. Interesting. Okay. That's kind of cool. So does that mean that the staples are actually going to clear water? Huh. They do. Interesting. Sounds like I should fix that. Another problem? Staples directly annihilate redstone. That's not cool. And also, I tried it out with the gravity glass, and they don't stick. So, And at least you're able to pick up the staples if you, you're able to pick up the staples if they don't actually attach properly. So, that's good. Little weird. Alrighty. I have the staple gun now properly working. And by the way, you can't staple glass. I tried making it so you can put staple blocks on top of glass, but I mean, this is 1.8. You can't even put buttons or ladders on glass. So, funny enough, making it so you can't put staples on glass is actually being consistent. As annoying as that is. So, the only thing, you can't put redstone on glass, you can't do anything on glass. The only thing you can do is put torches on top of glass. And this is done with dark sorcery. I literally have no idea how this works. There's nothing in the code that allows for this. So, every time you put a torch on top of glass, know that you are ripping the fabric of space-time itself. Yeah. I think that's a bug. So anyway, I made it so sand holders weren't invisible. The sand holder blocks, they're just black like this. So now I can actually demonstrate what it looks like when you staple a block. So if I do this, all I gotta do is fire the staple gun, and it places the staple block, and it puts sand holders underneath the block in a 3x3 area. This will And also, if you remove the staple block, it also removes the sand holders. Same if you put it on the side and even underneath. It just does that. So there you go. Here, this is how you are able to place blocks. And since the sand holders are like other kinds of things that you can just replace directly by placing blocks, you won't even realize that the sand holders were placed. Now, unfortunately, hang on. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get this to work. Yeah, if you break the support block for the staple, it doesn't automatically remove all the sand holders. In order to remove all the sand holders, you need to pillar up and give it a block update. But then again, sand holes are going to be invisible, so you won't be able to tell anyway. I wonder if I'll be able to actually make it like barrier blocks, so that way if you're like holding the staple gun, you can actually see see a particle that lets you see the sand holders. I think that'd be kind of cool. But anyway, let's get some staples and actually, let's make it so sand holders are invisible again. And now the sand holder will appear as a yellow arrow, just like barrier blocks, if you hold a staple gun. Otherwise, the sand holders are invisible. And this way, hang on, just wondering, does this actually work in survival? I hope it does. Let's see. It does. Awesome. So yeah, there we go. That is how the staple gun works. And now we can bridge across using gravel and a staple gun. Just like this. Literally just staple my way across. Ka-chunk. And bring some gravel and ka-chunk. Just in case you ever wanted to make a gravel bridge, this is how you do it now. Uh-oh. What just happened? Okay, problem solved. That was weird. So, the cool part about these staple blocks is you can actually remove these okay, maybe not that staple. But you can remove... What the... Oh, by the way, those particles gathered from the sand holder blocks, I pretty much just stole the code from the barrier block, which is pretty awesome. So it seems the issue that I'm facing is that I'm getting a null pointer exception. And I have no idea how to handle that. I have no idea what to do with that or how to solve that issue. So I'm doing this. And basically, if a null pointer exception comes up, just don't display the particle. I think that should be simple enough. Yeah. Hopefully that works. Okay, loading. And hopefully this works now. Or this could have catastrophically broken something. So I guess we'll find out either way. Yeah, so you can actually break... Yeah, depending on what staple block you break, you might end up actually, you might actually be letting some gravel fall. But otherwise, yeah, you can't place directly on the sand holders. You pretty much just have to use the staple gun and place along the side, as normal. Yeah. Hopefully this still works. So far, no crashing. That's awesome. I guess if you wanted to break if you wanted to remove the gravel without breaking the sand holders, you could just do something like this, and then make gravel. Whoops. And I guess that would make like some kind of gravel parkour. So, yeah, I guess gravel parkour is possible now. Hooray! As if I wasn't bad enough at parkour as it is. Now we have the only indication that this gravel can be held up is with the staples. But otherwise, I can just break the staples, and that should... Huh. Okay. Yeah, I guess you're gonna need a. If you want to actually make the gravel fall, you need to have the staple gun ready so you can actually see the sand holders. But there we go. Behold the staple gun. Ka-chow. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please let me know. I guess this is my first attempt at doing something insanely complicated. So there we go. I think this staple gun is going to be a staple of the mod, of any player experience with this mod. So there we go. I will see you next time.